Greetings, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Barbara Dean Franklin Show, Real Talk, Real People. I am your host, Barbara Dean Franklin, and today I have the awesome pleasure of sitting with my girlfriend, Ronnell Carr. How are you, Ronnell?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. Ronnell is with the American Diabetes Association, and I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come sit on the set with me to talk about, diabetes and the wonderful things that you guys are doing to get information out to the community. So thank you, Ronnell.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about statistics, the diabetes statistics in the African American community. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Sure. Right now in the United States, there are 29.1 million people with diabetes. That's 20 million people that have been diagnosed and over 8 million people that do not know they have it.
Wow.
African Americans are 2 times more likely at getting the disease, and right now there are over 5 million African Americans that have diabetes.
Wow, that is a lot of people who don't know that they have it. A lot of times because people that have been diagnosed with diabetes, is it rare, or there is a chance, an opportunity for you to get it under control, and if you're taking medicine to come off of medication sometimes?
That's correct. So let's kind of talk about the types of diabetes.
Okay.
To begin, in 1940, the American Diabetes Association was founded, and we are the leading 501c nonprofit organization that fights diabetes. We're also one of the only organizations that looks at all types of diabetes. That's type 1, 2, gestational, and pre-diabetes.
Okay.
So type 1 is when your body does not make any insulin and you need insulin. You have to take insulin and medication to live.
Okay.
Type 2, which is the one that's more rampant in the African American community amongst other cultures, is when your body does make some insulin, however does not use the insulin properly.
Okay.
And that can be caused by, again, lack of physical activity, poor eating habits, things of that nature. Gestational is when it can occur actually when you are pregnant. And if you do get gestational diabetes while you're pregnant, you are more likely to get type 2 diabetes later on in life.
Okay.
Pre-diabetes is when your levels are high, but not yet high enough to give you a diagnosis of diabetes. However, if you don't change your lifestyle and start, incorporating physical activity in your lifestyle, then you're more likely to get type 2 diabetes.
Okay. And so right now there's an initiative that's going on in the African American communities.
Absolutely.
And to the churches that
Right.
you're trying to reach out to, because you're going to have what is called ID Day.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about ID Day. Tell us what ID Day is.
Sure. So I manage the African American initiatives at the ADA. And what we do is go out in the community and reach out to churches, because we know that a lot of the community goes to churches for help, for inspiration, and even some health education.
Right.
So the ADA has created a wonderful program called Project Power, which is a faith-based programs to reach the African American churches and to educate the community. And so we do have a upcoming event called our ID Day Kickoff.
Right.
And what ID Day means is I decide to fight diabetes. And it's just a nationwide initiative to raise the awareness of diabetes again amongst churches.
Great. Once people come out and they're aware of ID Day, then they can go back to their churches and host a ID Day at their particular church.
That's right. They can go back once they learn and have the information. They'll feel empowered and encouraged to go back to their own churches and actually implement ID Day, again, which takes place in November for Diabetes Month.
Okay.
We will provide them with all of the free materials, scripts to speak from. Again, ID Day is not a whole day celebration. However, a church can do it as small or as large as they want. We'll give you speaking points in that. Usually the pastor speaks from the pulpit anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes and just kind of talks about some statistics and how important it is to educate yourselves on diabetes, and then pass out the literature that coincides with the message.
Okay.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Okay. So before we get into some of the other, like Sisters Empowered, and you have an acronym that Empowering Sisters stands for your
Choose to Live.
Choose to Live program. Let's just talk about like some of the things that people can do when you talk about eating better, exercising more, getting out there. What about people who say, I just can't fit it in, I can't exercise, what?
Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate exercise. And exercise has to be something that you do outside of your regular routine.
Okay.
A lot of people feel like if they already have a physically demanding job, that they get their exercise in for the day, when in fact your body does not recognize that as exercise.
Right.
You need to do something outside of that for at least 30 minutes a day, and we ask it to, well, the ADA kind of guidelines is that they do it at least 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
So that could be something. I know there's a lot of videos and aerobics instructors that teach chair aerobics for folks who feel like they can't, physically get up and around anymore.
Right.
Walking, using the stairs, versus elevator, parking further out so that you can walk, a longer distance to get to your destination.
Right.
All of that can help out.
And I was reading, and it says that, like you don't necessarily have to change your eating habits. I mean, well, probably some people need to change their eating habits, but
Absolutely.
you can still eat the, some of the foods that you enjoy eating. And is there a proportion, things that you look at on your plate?
Right. So you need to have, proportion sizes mean a lot. You want to make sure that you have more leafy greens on your plate than protein or meat.
Okay.
So again, you can still eat the foods that you love. You may have to make some small changes, but the ultimate result from making those small changes is wonderful.
Okay.
As you mentioned before, there are some folks that are able to manage their diabetes alone without medication, just with physical activity and changing their lifestyle.
Okay.
Again, does not mean that there is a cure for diabetes, because at this time there is not.
Right.
However, you can live a healthy life without medication and insulin just by managing what you do in your life as far as lifestyle.
So for people who have diabetes, or maybe who don't have diabetes and want to know about it, what are some of the important things that they, glycemic, carbohydrates, what are the things that they need to know that, determines if you're, I know there's a A1C or AC1 kind of
Yeah,
things
so
like
the
that.
A1C is a test, and again, you can only get a diagnosis of diabetes from going to your healthcare provider.
Right.
That's number one. We do have a diabetes risk test for type 2 diabetes. It asks a series of questions. If you score a 5 or higher on our risk test, that means that you, doesn't mean that you have diabetes, but that you're more likely to getting the disease.
Okay,
So
and
again,
you should get checked.
You definitely want to go have a conversation with your doctor.
Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the programs that you have. Live Empowered, the program that you have, and there are different sessions. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Live Empowered, again, is our African American Initiatives program. However, this program can be used in any ethnicity.
Okay.
We know that all of the things and the information that we have within the program, again, can fit any ethnicity. So Live Empowered has a couple different sectors. There is Project Power, which is our faith-based initiative.
Okay.
We also have Choose to Live, which is our women's focused initiative, where we empower women ages 35 to 55 on how to prevent diabetes, or if they have diabetes, how to manage it better.
Okay. Now, what about the children? Because you're seeing a lot of obesity in young folks. So, is there a program geared towards your younger?
In fact, there is. The American Diabetes Association runs the largest diabetes camp in Michigan for children. It takes place 2 weeks in June. We actually have kids there from 5 to 17 years old. We have some of the top endos in the country at our camp. They volunteer 2 weeks of their time, vacation, there to educate the children on diabetes. So it's a wonderful, wonderful program for children actually who have type 1 diabetes.
Okay. And type 1 diabetes, again, is?
Type 1 diabetes is when your body does not produce any insulin and you have to take medication or insulin to survive.
Okay. So somebody is out there looking at this, how would they get in touch with you if they wanted to become a part of this?
Sure, you can give us a call at our local office. Our phone number is 248-433-3830. My direct extension is 6691. You may also visit our website at www.diabetes.org and click on In My Community. Go ahead and put your zip code in, and it'll show you everything that's going on in your community.
Okay.
If churches would like to get involved, again, we're always looking for church ambassadors, which is like the point person in the church that kind of manages all of the different programs that we offer.
Okay.
And the way that we do that is we train the ambassador on all our programs. It's more of a train the trainer type program, and then they're able to implement the programs at their church at their leisure.
Okay. Okay. Now, I know that it was like empowering sisters, but sister, the acronym actually stood for something. Do you know that? What it said? S was for, I don't know if it was like staying healthy. You know, I had those notes that I wrote down. You know, but I picked up something else. But let's talk. Let's move on. Hopefully, I'll find it before you know the show is over. But what about depression and people? You know, because all of these weigh in: stress, depression. Yes. It can affect people with diabetes. What do
absolutely? You know, high blood pressure, heart disease, all of that can affect a person living with diabetes. And a lot of times, or oftentimes, people feel alone when they have diabetes. They feel like they're isolated, especially if they're the only ones in their family that have the disease. They feel alone. So a lot of times depression can occur. So that's why it's so imperative for us to, you know, raise the awareness about diabetes and the effects of diabetes and educate families on how to rally around the person in their family with diabetes and, you know, make lifestyle changes for the whole family so that one part of the family isn't eating pizza and, you know, and potato chips, and the person that cannot feels isolated and then can possibly get depression.
And it's just, you know, because so much is happening in the world. It's depression in people with diabetes. Serious depression is common in people with diabetes, and depression is especially common with women. You know, men get depressed too, but they may be less likely to get treatment, you know, for the depression. So, you know, we really need to, like you said, rally around one another, you know, to support one another. If there is somebody in your home, your family that has depression, that you can bring this information to, you can help them. If it's nothing but taking a walk with them, you know, helping them to lift their spirits and actually get their bodies in order, you know, because, you know, everybody is dealing with something. These are stressful situations. You know, if you have a job that's stressful, you come home, you need to have a way to release that stress. You know, and what I like about your website and the information that you hand out, you give little tips and tools. You know, the programs that you have at the end of the 2-week, you know, the 2-session programs. If you do it in one, it's a 2-hour. Twice. If you do it twice, it's a 2-hour session, but you can do it in 4 hours if you choose to.
But, as far as the faith-based initiatives, absolutely. The workshops you can do as you please.
But you give incentives, and those incentives you have, you know, your cookbooks that you know teach them how. I like your journals.
Journals,
you know.
cooking guides, cookbooks, and like you said, on our website we have wonderful tools, recipes available. If you go on our website and you know you need any help or assistance or looking for CDEs or dietitians or nutritionists in the area, you can visit our website and you'll find lists of those there.
And it's very interactive, you know, because you ask the questions, but you have to answer those questions. You have to really take a look at yourself in the areas and where you need to make real changes, you know. And sometimes we all know that change is inevitable. And with the way things are, you know, again, this is a very stressful time, you know, for a lot of people. And you never know what a person is dealing with, you know. So we need to find ways, especially women, because we carry so much on us. You know, we're mothers, we're wives, we're, you know, workers, you know, probably the boss, and, you know,
caretakers even within the church.
Everywhere. So we really need to find ways to, you know, number one, change our habits. Number two, ask for help. You know, and support one another. You know, so I think that this is a great initiative.
Information sharing. Absolutely.
You know, but we have to become the resource. We have to become the SME, subject matter experts on the things that we need to know. You know, and then we have to share it with our other sisters, because women, we are information changers.
That's
and givers, you know, we make things happen. You okay?
And we have to be a bit selfish, you know. A lot of times, like you said, we give so much of ourselves, and for a good cause, to help our children, to help our family, to help our community. However, we don't look at ourselves, so we have to step back and take a hard look at ourselves, get us together, so that we can help more people.
And I know when we talk about exercising, there's some fun things, Zumba and hustling and ballroom, and then they have the river walk and the Quinder cut, and, you know, things that maybe, you know, sometimes it's better to work, you know, together than to, you know, walk alone. So we need to, you know, come together, you know, and that's what we're always talking about, supporting one another. So give that number again if people wanted to get in touch with the ADA
Sure.
or with you, to find out more about the program, give your number again.
Absolutely. Our toll-free number is 1-800-DIABETES. If you're locally, it is 248-433-3830. My direct extension is 6691. Or you may visit our website at www.diabetes.org. We also have a Facebook page, which is our Michigan Live Empowered Facebook page. So we encourage you to follow our page. We encourage you to get involved. We encourage you to spread the word about diabetes. It's imperative to share the knowledge about diabetes so that we can save our communities.
Now, well, you just gave that emphatic, plea to because what I wanted to say to you, and I guess you kind of said it, is that there's somebody out there, that has diabetes that thinks, okay, this information it's not going to work for me because I'm just too far gone. I don't, I can't exercise. I have a cousin who has diabetes, but she was telling me that, she was really getting it under control. I said, so what did you do different? She said, I'm eating different, and she's confined to a wheelchair, but she can do some walking, and so she goes and does Zumba in her wheelchair, and just different things like that. So, just take a look into the camera and just really, talk to somebody about why it's so important for them to do something.
It's very important because diabetes is running rampant, especially in the African American community. So if you're having any of the symptoms, excessive thirst, frequent urination, if you're feeling flu-like symptoms and they won't go away, go see a doctor, go talk to someone to see if you may have diabetes. And if so, go ahead and start making those lifestyle changes. It is imperative that you do that as soon as possible to stave off any long-term effects of the disease. Again, if you want to get involved, and we are encouraging all pastors, all first ladies, all health ministries to get involved with our faith-based initiative. It's totally free, no cost to you. We provide you with all materials. We provide you with all incentives if we have them available to encourage folks to come out to your different workshops or your different programs that you may have.
All right. And with diabetes, if it affects your heart, your blood vessels, your kidneys, your eyes, your feet. People actually have to have parts of their toes, limbs amputated because of that level. So it's very important, just like you said, that we may never ever be able to prevent it, because there is no cure for diabetes.
Not at this time, but we're working hard.
Okay.
We're working hard.
Okay.
A lot of the funds raised by the ADA go to research, advocacy, and information, with most of the funds going to information because it's so important that we share the information.
Right. Well, one thing that I like about it is that we can be proactive and not reactive.
There
so
you go.
If we
prevention,
if we do
management.
what we can now to try and prevent it, and then if you have it and you know that you have it, then let's do what we can to manage it, to get better. Because I know my mom, before she passed away, she had type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, and that's another thing too. You've got to make sure that when you have elder people that you're caring for, look at their medicine and see how they work together, and do what you can, because there was a time that she was able to come off of her high blood pressure medication, because she was getting better, especially when she had to go to a feeding tube, and so for her her diabetes, she only had the metformin or glucophage that she had to take for that, so there is a chance and opportunity for us as we learn to sometimes not necessarily always negate the medication, but to lower the amounts of the intake.
Absolutely.
So please, again, reach out and give them a call, especially the faith-based community, because your people are depending on you to get involved. We have churches on almost every corner.
There you go.
So then let's go out to your community, to your neighborhoods, and help the people that are in the community. And when you help them, they in turn can help somebody else.
Absolutely.
And we can build better neighborhoods and better communities, and teach our children how to grow up and be healthy.
Right, and live longer lives.
Most definitely.
No longer are the days, like 50 years ago when they didn't have the medicine and they didn't have the resources to educate themselves. So as a consequence, they lost limbs, they went blind, they had kidney failure, no longer are those days. You know, we
Right.
have so many different resources and information out here to help yourself.
Well, Ronnell, I truly thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come to sit with me on the Barbara Dean Franklin Show.
Oh, thank you for
I will
having me.
definitely share, your information, on my page, and I have a website that'll be coming soon. I'll make sure that I put that information up. But one more time before we go, give the
Sure.
contact information so people will know how to contact the American Diabetes Association.
Yep. Again, our toll-free number is 1-800-DIABETES. Our local number is 248-433-3830. My direct extension is 6691. Our website is www.diabetes.org. We look forward to talking with you very soon.
And I am going to actually end this show the way that I always do. I have a saying that I like, from my beating heart to your beating heart. And the reason that I say that is because I love what I do. I love sharing information with people. I love to be able to bridge a gap, to bring information, maybe to a particular audience who would have never gotten this great information about the American Diabetes Association. So I'm looking for people to partner with to bring this information. So I'm going to end the show the way that I always do. And I'm going to say, from my beating heart to your beating heart, I love you. You understand? Okay.